So here we are, Freddy Krueger and Henry from the Geek Speak show. Okay, it's just Joel. Yeah, what's your hand thing?
Joel Krueger. I mean, one hand.
Yeah, so we are here at the Winchester Mystery House in San Jose for Fright Nights Media Day. Going to give you a sneak peek. Going to talk to Brett Tomberlin, show producer, show director, Kathrynn Cobbs. You remember them from last year. Going to take a peek at some of the zombies and some of the things that are going to jump out at you. And just basically get a look behind the scenes. Remember, we are giving away Fright Nights tickets for you on the show. Listen for the word of the week. Not during this video, during the show. You got to listen to that. And it's 40 minutes long. This maze is longer than last year. For you, it's probably going to be 4 minutes.
4 seconds, actually.
Yeah, because you're probably going to... What was that? The code U?
I'm going to code you and just turn around. You turn it.
Which means I can't do this. I want to get out of here. So here we go. The Geek Speak show at Fright Nights Media Day. Let's go check it out.
The idea behind this maze is that the front door that has not been opened since before Sarah Winchester lived here, has been opened by the last tour group of the day. And that tour group has unleashed the spirits and the spirit realm on the grounds. That Sarah believed that door was the gateway between the living and the dead, and so now that those spirits have been unleashed and are all around the property, they've claimed the lives of some of those from that group, and also some parts of the house itself have also come to life. The first scene we'll see here is a church. Now when you go through this maze in the dark in the evening, you're going to hear the sounds of confessions in the confessional, church bells, music, and as you walk through you'll see many, many weeping Sarah Winchesters. Sarah was known to weep over the loss of her husband William, over the loss of her infant daughter Annie, as well as the lives claimed by the Winchester rifle, which is said to be the reason why she listened to the spirits and communicated with them to build the house itself. So let's go on through.
Go!
So in the dark here, what we're seeing is there's weeping Sarahs you see on benches. There's our altar here. Obviously, many remembrance candles will be on at the time of the maze this evening, and lighting as well. Obviously, the lighting is not on at the moment. The next thing you'll see as we walk this way, I'll point this out as we go. We're right behind each other. So if everybody turns around and looks right here for me. Now this podium right here, this podium will have our priest, Father Death, on it. And he is spieling to the crowd, talking to the crowd, your sins and hellfire and brimstone, and he's one of our improvised performers. We have several different types of performers throughout the event, several different types of scares as well. Some of them are more spieling, improvised characters to really get the guests immersed in the event, feel like they're part of a horror movie, part of everything that's happening around them. Another thing that we do as well is scents. Each room has a special scent. So the church that we were just in has a scent of rosemary. Other areas we'll see have scents of whiskey, burned flesh, rotting corpses, swampy marsh, and I think cotton candy in Sarah's seance room. So as we walk this way,
Get that.
So as we walk this way, this is our graveyard scene. A few familiar names for me when I look into this graveyard there. The graveyard has obviously our outlaws. The type of Western theme is something you'll see several times throughout the attraction. Also the spirits of old Halloween. If you know the history of Halloween, obviously it's a holiday that dates back pretty far. However, the tradition of trick-or-treating was a more 1920s, 1930s tradition, and so the old Halloween tradition is, very simple masks, burlap, pumpkins, candles. So we bring that old tradition back with the spirits. If you look over here, you'll see an actual recreation of the Winchester grave that is in Connecticut, where all three Winchesters are buried. Sarah Winchester, her husband William, and their infant daughter Annie. And we have an effigy here to her as well. Now as we walk this way, we will see a few other things. This is where it gets hard in heels. So this podium to my left, you're right over here, that is for our living statue. So this evening when you walk through, what you'll see there is a marble-style Adonis character who comes to life. The next area we're walking through is the crypt area. Fun fact about the crypt, all the names in the crypt are actually people who worked on Fright Nights in some capacity. So walking through the crypt is like walking through a living credits of Fright Nights. There's also several scares in here as well. These walls will open up and the rotting corpses will come back from their graves to claim the lives of our guests. As you can see, this is one of the pop-outs. And when these are shut, there's no way to tell that there's someone behind them. As you walk through the crypt this evening, you will see lots of fog that blows through the tunnel of the crypt, which illuminates the lighting in there as if there's grates and moonlight coming from the ceiling. So even if we have no moonlight, we still have our own moonlight. If everybody looks up with me, you will see our tree beast. Now the tree beast is a functioning puppet who will come down on guests. Like we said, not only is it just the lives and the spirits of those claimed by the Winchester rifle, but also the house itself has come to life. This is another example of that, where the trees have come to life. Also, you'll see many bullet holes following that Western theme as well. Moving on, we'll be inside the pump house. Now, one of the great things about Fright Nights is that we're able to incorporate actual buildings that were used in Sarah's time that are part of the house in the maze. This is a pre-existing building. This was actually the pump house used by all of the workers on Sarah's property in her day. So we've obviously transformed it to make it a little bit more sinister. The characters in here are all mechanics dressed in the traditional style that the workers from her day would be in. A few things about this room. There is a crackle effect that causes the effect that looks like a generator has failed in the room. So the entire room goes dark for a second every time the crackles go on. There's also a few fun little scares. If you look at this crate box right over here.
Whoa!
It's like you never knew it was closed in the first place. So, moving on. Like we said, a lot of show scenes this year, lots to see. Different than last year, a whole behind-the-scenes tour for you guys. This is next section is our barn section. The interesting thing about this is the backlighting. This evening you will see will make you feel like you've gone into a completely different area. We have scarecrows and hay and everything in here. Very, very dark, very good scare. So watch your step as we go through. It can be a little bit slippery.
See what happens when you don't watch your step?
Exactly. So this is the traditional water tower, but this area for the Fright Nights event is known as Suicide Row. Obviously we're covering up just a little bit, keep some mystery for this evening, of course. But the idea here is that those spirits, possess a few of those guests from the tour, and the remnants of them are kind of everywhere at this time. So there is a gentleman there that just didn't quite work out for him. Moving right along this way.
This one over here.
them again. I think everybody I walk through always says something regarding laundry or dirty rooms or something whenever they come to this area. So like we were talking about just back there, this would be the remnants of tour group 13, that tour group that opened the door and the gateway between the living and the dead. This is one of my favorite characters in here. The character in here is these body clothes piles come to life. So he moves as if he has no skeletal structure and essentially looks like a giant pile of clothes. However, I will say during tech rehearsals, that performer legitimately scared Brett, our producer, myself, and our talent coordinators every single time. And he wasn't even in costume. So very exciting scare here. Another thing, you'll see a little bit of our projection effects and video effects. There was a sheet back there that we'll be doing a projection effect on. You can obviously see there's a television in there. That television is on. There's a special effect inside the television that looks like somebody's trapped inside waiting to get out. This next area is the chicken coop. Now this chicken coop to the left of us was the chicken coop used in Sarah's time. However, it was relocated in the late 80s to this area. It was originally in the back of the property, which is now the Century parking lot. As we move this way, right up here. So one of our biggest scares from last year was a scare involving a chicken farmer and his victim tourist. And if anybody remembers from last year, he was basically beating this poor girl all the way down, and she just screamed bloody murder. Obviously, the performers have been stunt trained. However, it does make for a very, very exciting and great scare because you cannot imagine what it would really be like to see somebody beat somebody else up until you see this. It's very, very scary. Obviously, you see a lot of hay. The hay is part of a daytime offering that Winchester Mystery House is doing, a hay maze labyrinth. There's a few little things throughout the hay maze as well that you like a scavenger hunt and a few other things to add a little extra to the hay, as well as Fright Night's decoration, of course.
So the chicken man is back. Ah! And there he is. What's the cable?
Welcome to what was once the fruit drying shed. This area is now known as our voodoo lair. So we have our voodoo skinners that have claimed many lives in here. You'll see some heads, some skins as well. Additional characters in this room include a girl whose face has been partially skinned off, as well as a gentleman that's been transformed into a living voodoo doll. And he'll be strung up right over there, screaming for his life, hoping that he's not the next victim. Obviously, we have lots of scares throughout the maze. You'll see lots of hanging bodies, lots of blood. All of these light up. The lighting in here is pretty tremendous, and when you look down on the floor, you'll actually see lighting coming up through the floor in this room tonight. So moving on.
It is bigger than last year.
It is twice as big as last year. This is quite the distance. We anticipate people being very exhausted from scares by the time they're done with this, or crying
from
and
running through
leaving.
it.
Yeah, or from running through it. Last year, we had several people duck out after just the fourth scene because they said it was too scary, they couldn't handle it anymore. So there are a few zones this year that I will almost guarantee we will have quite a few people say that as well. Perhaps some early on, maybe some later, but it will be quite a feat if you can make it to the end of this maze. This is one of those areas when we talked about traditional Halloween. We have traditional Halloween trick-or-treaters who will be in this area tonight, as well as our swinging girl. And the lighting behind her causes her shadow to light up on all of these different sheets. As we spoke about before, Annie was the infant daughter, Sarah's infant daughter that passed away. Lots of children's toys, things like that. Sarah took that very hard, of course. So there were children's toys found throughout the house in different storage spaces. Moving on from here, we'll actually be going into the seance scene with Sarah herself.
I will close it and I'll get rid of all the mirrors. That's to humiliate them in this shadow.
Give everybody a chance to see Sarah and her seance. Tight space. A common theme in haunts. So as we just met Sarah and her seance, it's been widely speculated that Sarah held seances to communicate with the spirits and about the building of her house. So there we have Sarah communicating with spirits, trying to finish up the house and just keep building. Also in this area we have some of our gypsies. Gypsies, tarot, seance obviously were big themes for Sarah. There is an actual seance room in the house. 13 hooks. 13 is a common theme, not just in the house itself, but also in the maze. We like to carry over Sarah's traditions in our design elements and in each room. There is a living portrait that we passed over there. It's not currently on or working, but tonight you will be able to see it. That portrait ages as you look at it and also comes to life to scare you.
She okay or what?
So as I mentioned before, Winchester Mystery House has their daytime offering, the Hay Maze Labyrinth. We've incorporated that into Fright Nights with our own designs as well. So you do go through part of that labyrinth during the evening. All of the pumpkins throughout the hay light up individually. This area also has several of our claimed lives from tour group 13 trying to escape the hay. There's a gentleman here whose entire face has been slashed off. Some girls with other slashes inside of them. Very bloody sort of scene, to say the least. So the idea here is that all of these bodies have been claimed by the crows that are possessed by all the spirits let out from the door. So as we go through, there'll be different scare elements and some claimed lives. Oh, we're having that kind of morning?
I think they're hungry.
They saw those Cheetos and they can't get rid of the smell. So obviously this year, new for Fright Nights, we have some very large, very tall crow men out to claim more lives from the hay maze. This area billows with fog, fills with fog. Several of these fine, gentle crows. And this tour bus right here, which is one of our actual tour buses for Winchester Mystery House. You will hear a sound effect in there that sounds like the tour group dispatch calling to ask where tour group 13 has gone. So you'll hear dispatch, this is tour group 13, come in, do you copy? Obviously they don't copy because they've fallen through the portal between the living and the dead. So moving right this way, we'll see more of that traditional Halloween. Aren't they neat?
Yeah.
I will say that I'm very, very, very pleased with that element this year. It was one thing that I really wanted last year, and now I have.
It's more than two or just than two?
There are 3, yeah. So this area is our ghost area, that traditional Halloween design. A fact about design for Fright Nights, we start designing in November. And we try to be done with principal designs by February so that we can start construction on certain elements by then. But while we're in that design phase, we watch hours and hours and hours of horror movies, television shows. This year I watched every season of Buffy, every season of Supernatural. Trick or Treat is a big one for me and for Brett as well. So that inspiration can lead to a lot of design elements throughout the maze. So these might look familiar from some of you that may have seen Trick or Treat. There was something we really enjoyed that was a death, the first death in that movie that we really enjoyed. We still decided to do our own version, obviously, and add a few scares over here, more traditional trick-or-treaters in this area. A little girl named Little Red, as well as a gentleman sheet ghost that might have a little surprise for you later this evening. So moving right this way.
No Sam?
No Sam, I wish. These windows are actual windows left over from the house. At one point they were all used in construction. And throughout the house, there is various storage and items that were once a part of the property, once a part of different buildings that are no longer here, no longer on the property. They're now Santana Row or Century Theaters. So we have all of the pieces of those buildings throughout the house. So we decided to use some of the windows, obviously. But if you ever are in the house, in the front crystals area, you will see pieces of the 5th and 6th floors that were destroyed during the earthquake in San Francisco back in the early 1900s. This monster wall right here, this evening you will see lighting in his eyes and smoke, as well as hearing him breathing as if he is choking you down through his claustrophobia tunnel. If you're unfamiliar with the claustrophobia tunnel, when you walk through this, gentleman, you will be completely enclosed on either side, touching this black fabric as if you're going down his throat. Obviously, right now, we won't be able to walk through, but if you join us this evening, you will feel that effect in full motion. Last year, we had a similar effect to this. That was where people quit most of the time. Walking into a dark hallway where things are touching you, maybe not the best thing for everybody. So we'll go around the just straight through. Watch your heads and your feet.
So this is like the tunnel effect from last year, or different?
It is like the tunnel from last year, yeah.
That was our favorite from last year.
Oh, it's great. Well, we had to do it better this year, of course.
This is new.
It is new. Lots of new.
Yeah.
Originally, we conceptualized that we were going to be doing many of the same scenes from last year, but just adding a slightly different twist on them. And then, once you get to designing, you kind of get carried away, and all of a sudden you've got 30 scenes and an entirely new maze before you know it. As I previously mentioned, obviously, not only have certain spirits come to life, but also the house itself. All of these doors have found their way back onto the property. The lighting in here is pretty phenomenal. Each individual door has its own light. Everything is all controlled. You will see flickers, lights go out, so the lighting will be different every time you walk through this section. The performers in this area are pretty unique for the maze. They are the maid, the driver, and the butler back from Sarah's day. Those spirits have returned because that gateway has been opened and they're looking for their lost Sarah. So find your way through the doors, everybody. Obviously, many different routes guests could take, so many different scare opportunities throughout the section. And the light, this room obviously has a different effect. This room, traditionally known as the garage, which housed Sarah's carriage, has now been transformed into our demon room. When you walk into this room, it is completely pitch black. The only lighting is a very small backlight from around the corner here, which gives the shadow effect of all the demons throughout this room. Each demon's eyes also glow red, as well as the demons that will be inhabiting this room. So walking into this room each night, even during rehearsals, many of our staff just don't want to go. It's a very dark room. There's also a heartbeat that you'll hear, breathing. It can be very uncomfortable, to say the least. So this room, traditionally the car wash, now transformed into the coffin crematorium. This is a coffin builder's area as well as obviously a crematorium. All of these coffins were handmade specifically for Winchester Mystery House by Asylum Coffins. They're out of Illinois. This room will get hotter in the evening. There are special heaters in here, so when you come in here, you will feel as if it's time for you to be cremated as well. The undertaker will be in here as well. There's some funeral music, the smell of whiskey, and that traditional Old West theme, as well as a poor girl who has been burned several times by this undertaker and is doing her best to get away. This is our pumpkin master, who has claimed the life of a victim inside his belly. The performer will pop out from here to scare everybody, covered in pumpkin juice seeds, all those pumpkin guts that you find when you're carving pumpkins. He's claimed her life, and there she'll be. She's also being transformed into a pumpkin herself, so she's got a pumpkin head as well, and a very interesting sound that she makes. We are about to head into the greenhouse. The greenhouse is the traditional greenhouse that was used during Sarah's time. There, however, have been obviously some Fright Nights decor. This is another area where the house has come to life again. There are vines, plants. The gardeners have been transformed into trees. The plants themselves have come to life in the form of our scares in here as well. And one very exciting element that we will pass, which is our slide. Another thing about this room, it does actually get wet in here. We have little sprayers throughout the room to obviously help the plants that have come to life. So you'll feel water coming down on you as you walk through this area. Now, not only was the life of Tour Group 13 claimed, but also the life of Tour Group 13's tour guide, who's been strung up by the greenhouse, shaking and waiting to get out. So he does shake and move and try to wiggle his way out from the vines, but no luck for that guy, unfortunately. Maybe he should have been a little more responsible with his tour group. Sue.
Did you get that?
So as I mentioned, the gardeners from Sarah's time have not just been brought back to life, but also transformed into trees themselves. New for this year, obviously, we have a stunt with our slide. So when you walk through this hallway at night, you cannot see that clear plastic slide. You can only see what is behind it, which is the lives that our gardener has claimed. So this is our fully functioning animatronic Venus flytrap. So as guests walk through the maze and they get to this point, you will see the gentleman in here who has been claimed by this Venus flytrap. He will open, he will close, you will see his skeletal face, and all of the Venus flytraps work on him. So a very cool new element for Fright Nights this year is this Venus flytrap. And moving forward, we have another very exciting new element. So the bridge you're all standing on now is an animatronic bridge that will collapse 1.5 feet as guests walk through it. Not only will it collapse, it'll also spray water at you from this section here. This area known as the swamp is where several little children have unfortunately tried to go swimming. So moving out of this area and into the swamp area, you will meet some of our children as well. And like I said, this bridge does drop. There's fireflies throughout the lighting in here. You'll smell that swampy marsh smell. And as this bridge resets, it'll obviously go right back up, which is a scare in and of itself. So moving into the swamp where the children have gone. The performers in here have camelbacks. So they are able to spew the water from their mouths after trying to take a swim in our pond over here.
I hear my favorites.
There is a full projection effect that you will see on all of these sheetings: hands, faces, blood, fire, all projected on the sheeting here as if the spirits have come to try to break through.
Got a little closer.
So as our final scare, we have our chainsaws. Lots of scaffolding because we just can't seem to stop building here. At the end of every night, we do a chase out style finale where we have several of our larger performers from inside the maze come to the exit here for those last few groups of guests to get a little bit of an extra surprise. Besides just 2 chainsaws, you'll see all 4 chainsaws, both of those voodoo skinners that we met back in the fruit drying shed, as well as the Undertaker and all of the mechanics. So definitely a big scare at the end of the evening, and that is the Christmas Sarah Winchester Resurrection Maze.
Okay, so here we are. I got the music behind this soundtrack and everything. Found Brittany. Hi, Brittany.
Hi.
She runs Fright Bites. You guys have we've talked about it on the show. What is how can they find it? What is the website?
It's Fright Bites on blogspot.com.
Just go on there. It's everything horror, all the stuff that we like on the show that we talk about. We just finished going through the Curse of Sarah Winchester Maze. Sneak peek, not the whole thing, and it's not that scary when it's in the day. But what'd you think?
It looks so cool. I can't wait to see it at night. All the effects running, all the new stuff.
We don't want to get too many things away because we might, spoil a few things. But there's one cool effect that's new this year that I really liked. Brittany really liked. From last year, what was your favorite from last year?
My favorite? Oh, that's so hard. There were so many cool scenes, like walking up to the fountain when you're first greeted, to the creepy little kid's room and you hear the smells and all the pumpkins around the maze, just everything. It blew me away.
Yeah, mine was a tie between where the Chicken Man scene and the tunnel, where the claustrophobic tunnel. So we also have the flashlight tours, and don't forget we're giving away tickets for Friday nights on the Geek Speak show. Listen for the word of the week. Won't tell you what it is. You gotta listen to it. A little bit of work. Gotta listen to what it is. So let's talk about Fright Bites. What made you start Fright Bites?
Just my love of Halloween. I wanted to do something fun. I thought this idea, everything's on the internet now, and I thought, why not Twitter? I'm always on Twitter to spread the news, have fun, and then got inspired to do a blog and do different haunt reviews and places I go. It's a lot of fun.
What started that love of Halloween?
Love Halloween, my dad. My dad watch all horror movies, decorate the house. We get about 350 trick-or-treaters now from all our decorations, and just love Halloween.
So you're kind of like me. Halloween is like your Christmas.
Yes. I even have my birthday on Christmas, which is kind of awkward, but December 24th.
Yeah, I have a niece and sister, or actually have it on December 24th. Were you like them, where you either get a Christmas present but not a birthday present, or vice versa?
Sometimes they combine it. It's two different holidays.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that. So you like I'm assuming horror movies.
Oh yes.
What do you consider, not the classics, but from the modern ones? Which ones do you consider really, really scary, and some I can do without?
Really scary. Well, I guess Paranormal Activity has those jump scares. Like when I first saw the first movie, I saw it with a large audience, and people were leaving the theater and crying. And didn't think it was that bad, and it's just like those fun movies you watch with your friends.
Yeah. I got the same reaction when I went to go see it. So again, it's Fright Bites. Check it out. What's your Twitter?
Oh, Fright Bites on Twitter.
At Fright Bites, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yeah, so follow her. Definitely go to Fright Bites on the blog, and you'll find out everything you need to know about a horror. What besides this? What else do you have on there? Not just reviews for like things like Fright Nights. What else do you have on Fright Bites?
Oh, pretty soon I'll have different talking about different Halloween products and recipes. I plan to do a lot of different things this year.
Cool. So again, Fright Bites. Thanks, Brittany, and enjoy Fright Nights, and you guys enjoy Fright Nights also.